Sorry, Peter, I'm just going to make a quick recording and we'll let you decide what to do with it.
Okay.
If anything. Yeah.
Sure. So my previous life was pretty predictable and a beautiful life. I worked as a dentist for over 3 decades, and it was a job I loved and I grew to be very competent at. And every morning, you could not surprise me in my job because I'd seen it all. And I loved many aspects of being a dentist. But I've found that since becoming elected as a politician, and it was very obvious to me when I first became elected, I could not be both a good dentist and a good politician. It was just too much to try and carry simultaneously. So I decided to stop being a dentist and devote my entire life to being an MLA. Here on PEI, many politicians have worked part-time as an MLA, but you cannot build a party as a part-time leader or as a part-time member of the legislature. So I became leader of the party and MLA for the district you just described, although it's changed its name since then. And now every day is an adventure. And oftentimes it's a wonderful, lovely adventure, which involves traveling to other provinces and places in the world. And but it can be hard work too. And I know that the theme for your summer series is summer brain. And so I sort of thought I would approach this in the things that I associate with the summer. And as you mentioned, I grew up and was born in the Highlands of Scotland, notorious for its fog, by the way. And I moved to a place even more notorious for its fog in Newfoundland, RDF, as those of us who are familiar with Newfoundland would be familiar, rain, drizzle, and fog. And I lived there for 4 years. So I've had my share of fog, but summer in Prince Edward Island is fleeting, but it is glorious and precious and delightful and wonderful. And that's where I live now. And I associate the summer with growth, with greenery, 2 things that really I love very much. I've always been an avid gardener, and my wife and I grow most of our own food. And we have some chickens, and you know, it's always been a part of our life. So the summer is the time when things grow. And I've been fascinated all of my life with what growth means, how some growth can be wonderful, and how growth often, certainly in the natural world, is something that's cyclical. Things grow, they die, they become something else. It doesn't follow that pattern. We have created an economic system where that's not true. Things can, in unregulated capitalism, continue to grow indefinitely. And it's creating a lot of problems for us. And so that idea of growth necessarily being good, which it always has been, as part of our, I think, deep psyche, that we as children, we need to grow, we need to reach the tap, we need to be able to sit in the car and reach the pet. We need to become adults. But at a certain point, we have to stop growing, or you know, life just becomes difficult. You can't fit through your front door. You know, there are limits to growth, and at that point, we go from growth becoming bigger to hopefully growth relating more to becoming a better person. Growth intellectually, growth morally, growth emotionally, growth in terms of our maturity. And I think we're at the point in human development now where we have to abandon the idea that the economy, in order to continue to serve us well, has to keep growing physically. I think we've reached the point of human habitation on planet Earth that we are overgrown physically, and that we need to understand our place on this finite planet and learn that growth in the future is going to be about us becoming better individually rather than amassing more stuff around us. So that change of perspective on what growth actually is and means, I think will be critical to our continued successful habitation on planet Earth. You know, we're a pretty impressive species. We've got enormous brains. We can do extraordinary things, and we have gifts that should allow us to live successfully on planet Earth for as long as the sun shines, which is, you know, it's going to be a few billion years. And yet we've messed it up in the blink of an eye. And that's very distressing for me. And one of the big reasons that I got involved in politics, having children and projecting into the future what their lives would be like on a diminished planet. It was really the catalyst that got me involved in politics, and it's what continues to fire me in terms of the work that I do every day. I just finished talking to a number of volunteers here in the Nova Scotia campaign, where I talked about how I think unusually politics has actually made me a better person. And that's not something I ever imagined I would say. I'm a better person because I have allowed politics to be a place where I can learn every day, and I do. It's an enormous opportunity to learn new things every day if you're open to that. And that idea of growth, of being about personal development rather than the gathering of material possessions as a measure of success, I think is going to be core to our success here in the future. I like to think about both my politics and my own personal life in terms of 3 L's when I think about growth, and that's learning, love, and laughter. Learning about the world around me, learning about myself and my place in that world. Love, expressing your care and your desire for other people and other things on this planet to do well and to coexist in harmony and in support of all of the rest of this incredible place that we are fortunate enough to live in, called planet Earth. And laughter, to have fun while doing it. And that was mentioned, I think, a couple of times in the introduction of how important it is to have fun. And moments of enjoyment are when you are your most productive. And one of the things that I think is a consistent hallmark of green campaigns is the fact that we're doing important work in a very intense atmosphere, which is certainly true of politics at all times, but particularly during a campaign. But that we can do that and we can still have fun. And I'm so impressed with the mood, with the vibe of the campaign that I had just happened to drop in on today, of how much fun people are having, of how the campaign that they are creating here is one that feels uplifting. People are smiling. This isn't politics that wears you down and sucks the goodness out of you. This is politics that lifts you up and feels like a really supportive and loving place to be. And that's such an important hallmark of any of the green politics that I've been involved in. And it's what keeps me going, because, as I said earlier, politics can be a difficult place to live and work. And you need to have you need to have camaraderie, you need to have care and love and attention and support around you at all times. I think it was Angela who said that, maybe it was you, James, you need a plan and not quite enough time to do your best work. And who was it said that? Somebody in the introduction said that. And I sort of feel that since my life changed to being in politics, that I'm perpetually in that situation where I always have a plan to improve the Island Green Party, the Green Party Prince Edward Island, and to make us a more effective organization and a more loving and caring and cohesive and cooperative and collegial organization. So I very much have a plan, but I never seem to have enough time to devote myself to all of the things that you have to do in order to be a good leader in a situation like that. And I've found, and I'm probably getting close to my 10 minutes now, James. So I'm gonna sort of finish off by saying that I've learned, one of the things that I've learned about myself is that I can be a good leader, and I never really expected that. I found that good leadership is not being strong and decisive and heroic. That's not what people want in leaders, I believe. I think what people want to see is integrity. They want to see authenticity. They want somebody who will lead by example, walking their talk. And to be a good leader, I believe you have to create the space around you within whatever organization you are leading for people to become their best and fullest selves. And that is a hard thing to learn. And it's something that, without sounding immodest, because I'm not somebody who likes to bang my own drum, but I've found that I have become a good leader when I have followed that path, when I have led with integrity, when I have demonstrated through my own actions how I would like the Green Party of Prince Edward Island to be perceived, and where I have created a space, and by that I mean not just a physical space, but an emotional and a psychological space where people feel safe and that they are able to contribute and that they are able to grow into becoming their most effective and best people that they can be. And I think we have something extraordinarily precious in our legislative office. And I want other people to follow that pattern. And where politics can be a place that wears you down and beats you up and tears at you, I want other people to know that politics can be a place where you can feel safe and you can feel supported and you can do creative work and you can be loved and you can love others. And I'm just such a lucky guy. I'm an extraordinarily lucky guy. I'm surrounded by good people. We're doing important work and I'm having fun doing it. And how fortunate am I? I think I'll stop there, James.
Wonderful. How about a big round of applause? That can be jazz hands or reaction buttons or whatever you like. We like to, in Toastmasters, applaud formally, and to assume all these ridiculous roles and to boost the formality in our language. But really the goal, Peter, is to get back to the place that you're speaking of and speaking from, which is that we can relax all that and put it away and just say what needs to be said, which I think is what you've done. And you definitely cleared away a lot of the fog, our word of the day, about what politics is about and what it can be about and what it should be about. And I liked very much that you contrasted the obsession with growth, including unhealthy growth in our society. And I was visualizing Monty Python, The Meaning of Life, Mr. Creosote lumbering around until he exploded. Couldn't fit through the door or anything because of his gluttony. And you went from there to discussing personal growth. And I really do think that is our purpose as individuals and in public life. And it's a big Toastmasters thing, is to help people achieve their potential, starting with things like public speaking, but also equipping people with skills for leadership and personal development. So I thank you very much for those thoughts. It's really something that Toastmasters, and particularly green/vert Toastmasters, would value very highly. So it was wonderful having you join us today. Now, I'm guessing you have to jet and go knock on some doors or go back to PEI and get on the bridge. So we can let you go, but if you have extra time, feel free to hang out and see what we do in an online Toastmasters meeting.
That's a lovely invitation, James, but you're absolutely right in predicting that I have to get out on the doors now. We're only here for one day from the island, so I promised that as soon as I hung up here, I would get out on the doors.
Wonderful. Well, have fun and enjoy meeting people. And it was just delightful having you. You're welcome to come back anytime. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.